All right, are you ready for this week's name? I'm just gonna get going right away.
Whoa, I'm ready.
All right, hello, listeners, and welcome to Open Bracket Screams into Microphone Close Bracket with me, screaming, overwhelmed Matt Rubin, and our big shot Hollywood producer Hannah Messinger. Sorry, I ragged on your video, Hannah.
It's us. That's the bit. It's just us.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh, I thought you were saying you were introducing the guest.
No. Oh, no. I was just no wind up.
This was my guess at what was going to happen this week because of context. I was like, what if he just doesn't bring a guest and he just wants to talk to me about this? I'm not saying that would be better. It's just funny. It's just I do try to guess ahead of time. I'm like, what's going to happen?
Well, I shouldn't have asked permission to introduce the show because this really tipped you off to register your guess like 15 minutes before it would have been the correct guess, and it is the correct guess. This is fucking terrible.
I'm so good. I'm the best forecaster. I'm the world's most prescient person.
I had a bit too. So the topic today, our topic today is going to be coping, and I was gonna prompt you to guess like who's just like our world class expert on coping, and then it was going to be me.
This is amazing. Should we? If you want, we can redo the intro and we can pretend I didn't do that, and then you can reveal that I knew all along.
No. Let's give them the reality this time and every time. But hey, I was going to rag on your content production and its relationship to giving people reality or not.
I sort of figured
you indulged?
You didn't give us this struggle session last time, or you didn't give me the struggle session last time, so I figured you might want to give it to me this time.
Yeah, well, you just mean we didn't have an episode last week.
No, although, you should feel bad about that. No, there was some other time. Oh, I don't know, with Julia. At some point, you had a topic planned. Oh, Bella, you were gonna struggle session me and Bella.
Yeah. Though I usually like it to be a 2-on-1 instead of the opposite way or whatever. Yeah. But I'm actually probably wrong. So maybe we could have just reversed it and it would have been fine. Did you see my garbage complaints about your good product?
Oh my God. No, I actually checked yesterday. I knew you were planning to post on Saturday, so I checked your blog a few times during the day and didn't see it, and then was like, well, I'm not waiting around all day. I'm going to go have my life. And so I haven't seen it.
Good. I'm wrong. I'm just wrong. So it's only on Substack, and it will stay there. It's not worth drawing more attention to it by putting it on the forum. Well, I'm wrong about the global claim. I do think the video is really bad. Okay. And no one's trying to defend the video in the comments so far.
Okay, interesting. Sure.
But anyway, you can like kind of guess the.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So folks can go and watch the video. I'm fine to encourage people to watch it and make up their own minds.
The 80,000 Hours video program, which I had up, just released its first big long-form video. It's 34 and a half minutes long. It went public a week and a half ago. It has 2 million views. It got, actually, astonishingly to me, just like outrageously positive reviews, both from commenters, which is like one thing because they're like sort of selected for having watched the video, but also from our community, which is known for being kind of disagreeable and full of cats hard to herd, which we could talk about, which is sort of, I don't know, there's something like interesting we could talk about like, do lots of people hate it and are not saying so? Do lots of people hate it and are saying they liked it? Or are they saying the parts that they liked? Are we all sort of like so eager for like a calm success that they're just like, wow, they did it. They did something. We're just going to get like On Team, and the vibes of On Team are like so strong. There's something interesting because I was struck. I was like so ready, of course. I was like, a fun fact that you get to know now is like, I haven't read your actual critique, but like the high level, I think, was you were like bad epistemics and not about careers. To which my reaction was like, yeah, what? It wasn't supposed to be about careers. That no one told me it had to be about careers, and that wasn't the plan. And then epistemics, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what the argument is yet, but we can talk about it. I think we stand behind everything we said. Otherwise, we wouldn't have posted it. But I'm interested to hear. But I was totally expecting a lot more of like this vibe or some vibe of like, yeah, like Eric, who's the host, the like star of the thing, who presents it so beautifully, and I were both like, like, it's been interesting how much people have like given it such this like gracious reaction of like, this really like moved me on something, and I'm like, that's great from my perspective, but like it didn't really make an argument, and it wasn't trying to make an argument. It was trying to like lay out a scenario and like make that compelling and interesting, and have you want to like read the scenario and talk about how plausible it was and discuss in the comments like what parts feel like compelling and uncompelling. And it's like not quite the reaction we got. People were like, oh, like the vibe is much more like, now I'm convinced. I'm like, cool, I wasn't actually trying to convince you that this particular thing is like true yet, or like the main claims made that like I stand behind is like, there's an unusual amount of consensus even among like reasonably skeptical people that like something big is happening in the space of like intelligence explosions, and even like the skeptics, this is the Helen Toner argument, like even like long timelines are really short. I think that's like a really important takeaway. I think the takeaways of the video, we were trying to like convince is maybe like ish, because we don't like make arguments for the takeaways at the end. They're like, this is where I'm at, this is like what I find compelling, this is what I think like you should see as a through line, but we don't make arguments for them. Yeah, so the whole thing has kind of been like interesting to me. Yeah, I don't know, this is all a lot of thoughts. I'm curious I would be interested in what your feelings and thoughts are, both the original ones, if you want to tell me, because I haven't read your post, and like your reaction to everything I'm saying.
Great. No, this is basically exactly right. My critique is that there's no argument here.
There is no totally.
And maybe
What's happening in the comments? People are like, you totally plagiarized this other video. I'm like, no, what? We both say that we're just talking about the scenario that got written, which is like a public piece of information that we linked to like 70,000 times. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, and I think on the epistemic side, like first of all, just like I come in, I'm like, I would like an argument. I would like an argument, please. And then I didn't get one, and I'm like, wait, how is this supposed to move me? And I do in a footnote in my post say like, yeah, I mean, one like charitable interpretation of what's going on here is like, this is a conversation starter. It's like a flashy video that like makes a bunch of like claims without supporting them, like crucially, other than referring to like, oh, there are some authorities who believe these things, so maybe you ought to consider it. And if like that meta claim, sure, like that's fine.
Yeah,
but, like,
I want to push harder on that. Like the frame of the video is very explicitly, we think that there are some like pretty serious forecasters who are worth taking seriously. That's a claim we make. You can decide whether you agree. We believe it. We think we can like stand behind that claim. And here is what they say.
Yeah.
Like, we think more people should be aware of this report. We don't go into like the arguments behind why they believe the things in the report, nor do we spend a ton of time on critiques of the report, of which there are many. Like different versions of the video might have done that. But I guess I want to like say, I think there's sort of like two, I'm going to envision a lot of what you might be saying and then respond to it, and then you can tell me if this is what you're actually saying. But I think there's like some interesting things about critiques of epistemics, right? There's one critique, which is, I want to call the like, it feels like something, there feels like an interesting distinction here between like, I don't have names for this. I think you're going to help me find the names. But there's like epistemics, like you failed to like adhere to epistemic standards within an argument. Like you made an argument that was bad, or you like made a claim without supporting it, or you said false things, or you overstated your confidence, or like whatever. I claim we did like none of that. I mean, I'm sure we failed in many ways, but like that was like sort of the aim. Like everything we said we can stand behind. We think people should like be aware of this report, be aware of this like kind of story, the thing that might happen, like the world that might change around them, that like not enough people are aware of, and that they should like engage with it. Then I think you're critiquing like a sort of meta epistemics or something, which is like most of the critiques of like CFAR were not like the things they are saying are false, or they are overstating their claims. It's they are putting people in these like week-long, weird, intensive, sleep-deprived, emotionally powerful experiences which like lead people to like have non-truth tracking updates to their worldviews. And that's more of the vibe I'm getting from what I imagine you said when I saw your outline, but I didn't read your post yet, which is like you like showed people a movie and now they're all convinced because it was like very compelling in an emotional way, but like it's not, you didn't try to like access their like truth seekingness or something. Like your video isn't less compelling in worlds where it's wrong.
Yeah. So no, it's
Right?
totally like a yeah. I think you're like basically on the right track. My complaint is basically this is like a pharmaceutical ad, uh, right?
Like
It
it
says like
technically like says all the like footnotes. It like says like you may experience like death and like false beliefs as a result of this this medication.
yeah, it's like Erelzi. It'll be a beautiful sunny day. You just like take a whole bunch of it, and like all your friends and family will love you, and it won't be that so amazing. And isn't it so much nicer? By the way, we don't actually believe this, and this is kind of like not proven by anything. And but Erelzi, right? It's a story. So you could take it.
Yeah, what do I think of that? Yeah, maybe I have. Wow, this is great. No, I feel I have lots of thoughts. Can I? You can cut this if you want. I feel some like I feel anxiety radiating from you, and that makes sense. And I just feel like I'm excited to have this conversation. I think it's a fun and interesting one. I will say this that maybe makes me sound like so like rationalist saintly. There are other critiques you could have made that if they were like either false and I'm like, wow, that's a shitty thing to say about my video, or like true and I feel like, oh my God, like what if I'm like the worst? Like I would be like much less good at this or something. Like I have all of those human reactions. But this I just think is like, I don't know, like sort of delightful and interesting, and I'm like to talk about it, especially because because I think the first layer is like the first epistemics thing, and I just like don't feel worried. I mean, sorry, to be clear, I want feedback of all the kinds, but like I don't feel that worried that like we fucked that up. And then I'm like interested in this like meta epistemics thing and the like what context you put people in such that their like beliefs become like more truth tracking over time, that you're helping epistemics. Anyway, I kind of want to like put you at ease.
Yeah, I totally agree, and appreciate you trying to put me at ease. My anxiety stems from things way deeper than your video, so I don't know.
Great. Yeah. Gosh, what do I think? What do I think? Gosh, I have so many thoughts. And I have so many thoughts. So, okay, maybe one thought is like I think in some ways, well, I'm curious if you agree with this. I think on the meta epistemics, like a lot of it is like an empirical claim, right? One of the interesting things about epistemics is it's not an empirical claim. We can just go through the logic and be like, we could like formalize it all in mathematical logic and be like, did you like say a thing that like made sense in the like modal logic of the thing, right? But meta epistemics is like an empirical claim about like, do people reliably come out with like better truth tracking? Do they like regret it 3 years later? If we like pulled our you have given me a chance to talk about the video, so I am going to brag about it. If you pulled right now 70,000 fucking subscribers, what the fuck? So hype. Let's fucking go, team. If you pulled them, would you be like, yeah, like would you find that they had like bizarre beliefs about the world that we don't endorse and that we're like, whoa, or maybe your deeper claim is like we do kind of want them to have it even though it doesn't track truth, and like that's our like deep like I don't know, whatever, but putting that aside, yeah, so I think an interesting feature is that this is an empirical claim. Like I suspect you should change your mind if you talk to like every person who watched the video and was like, the thing I got away from this is that this is like taken as more plausible than I realized. It made me emotionally kind of like sit down and take it seriously, but I like recognize that it's like a scenario with like not very high chance of it happening in that specific order, and that there are probably like critiques out there that I haven't read yet. Seems like at that point you should just be like, this was fine by every account. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that is fair in a broad sense. I do think most of my criticism is just grounded in like maybe an old and curmudgeonly view about like what the 80k's role should be. As like if someone else did this,
Yeah.
I think I'd
Oh, I
be
haven't even thought to ask that
almost
question. Yeah.
I'd be like almost all the way there. Just like yeah, like people should be like poking and prodding to see what people think about it's like yeah, I don't think we should all ignore Daniel. I do think the AI 20% thing is like pretty bad, as a model and as a scenario and stuff like that. But like fine, like give people something bad to talk about. I totally endorse that as a way to promote thought. I just think 80K, right? You're like looking for this really really tail talent that deeply understands models of the world, and you're kicking them off with a really weak model that you don't even believe. Yeah, I'm more skeptical.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe there just is a disagreement about how much we buy his, like how good we think the forecast is, right? Like, uh, I could have made all the same arguments I've made so far if I was like, this is a really shit forecast, but I think it's interesting and people should read it. I think we would not have made the video if we felt that way. I don't know exactly. We don't have like a house view on like how good is Daniel's forecast, and not even a house view in the video program, which is exactly two people. Um, but certainly, if we thought it was shit, despite all the arguments I've made so far in this episode still holding, I wouldn't have made the video. So like, I do think it like makes some claim. I both think that's like good of us, and also it therefore makes some claim about how good it is, which isn't like explicitly like described or defended in the video. That's definitely true. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so if someone else had made it, yeah. Wait, say more about that. Let's dig into this, and then maybe I want to kind of like throw this at you. I have so much more to say, but I kind of want to throw this back at you and be like, what's the version of the video you have been excited to see? But like, yeah, if I don't know, CEA had made this video, or gosh, I don't know, or just like one of these like independent. There's like a bunch of now, I'm in an EA YouTubers chat. There's like a bunch of AI safety worried folks who are like vaguely like from vaguely to concretely like want to make videos about this to like communicate with the public. If one of them sort of independently, maybe with an open fill grant, had made this video, how would you have felt?
Yeah, I mean, a lot better. Just because like I just do buy the thing that you want to like prod people to think about uh, timelines and fast capabilities advances and takeover as such
And
as
the
important
importance of like
things.
recursive self-improvement in particular, right? Like one of our early titles was like that we decided not to go with was like, we're not ready for AIs that build AIs, and that's like is a central view that like Eric and I hold, is that like recursive self-improvement is the, and in particular the like the AIs automating the R&D cycle is like the thing to be worried about, the thing to be tracking, not just like capabilities writ large.
Yeah, no, I'd feel pretty. I'd feel a lot better about it, and yeah, a lot of this is my own preciousness about like the 80K model that has like worked really well in the past, that worked for me personally. Like I don't know, half of that outline and blog was just like, oh, here's how 80K worked for me. It was like highly like intellectual and epistemically rigorous, and not just like hyping up cause alpha. And
I
now I'm
think it's
like,
like
oh,
so
80K is just
important.
hyping up cause alpha.
I think it's so important to note like something like I don't know, I think like, well, we could get into the psychological reasons why, but like sometimes frame yourself, maybe are framed by other people as like sort of like a snarky curmudgeon or something. But like, in fact, I just think this comes from like a deeply earnest place about what the right way for 80K to be in the world is. Maybe on impact grounds, maybe more on like epistemic beauty grounds or something, as discussed like the other week, right? Like you're just like, but the arguments are so incredible, and like we're talking about even if more people died as a result, whatever. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Da, 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 da. Yeah, well, so I think we should probably peel apart the like 80K strategic shift and this video in particular, right? Like conditional on the strategic, like, right, I know you have feelings about the strategic shift. Conditional on that, I think you still have problems with this video, but I do want to like focus on like that, like the cause alpha thing. Yep, I was like, that strategic shift happened. The video program is existing in a context where like we are focusing on this cause.
Yeah. So
I think probably you still
did,
have issues, but maybe they are different ones.
I mean, and yeah, I guess I'm just saying like I want you to make an argument because that feels more earnest and less hypey. And interestingly, in my research for my shitty blog post, I went back and watched the OG 80K high production
Yeah,
value video on AI that Louisa narrated,
yeah.
uh, and I thought like, oh, there's an argument, and
Well,
this is
in
like
fact,
substantially better.
the video is like, it's great. It's like it is explicitly an adaptation of the problem profile, which itself makes an argument.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. What was I going to ask you? Oh, version of the video you like. Okay, so like argument. So it's like we start with Eric being like, you might not know how to take, like, what to make of all of this like AI talk. I'm going to make the argument to you that you should be taking short timeline seriously, or that you should take recursive self-improvement seriously, or the thing to track is like, pasta or like AI automated R&D. And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
we'll talk
teach
about
people
like
something.
what could happen if that happens, which is like, well, there's this one scenario which like predicts this. Other people have like slower timelines or different timelines, but they still predict like that. Like this is like what happens when that happens.
Yeah.
If it were to come
And
forward, some like reasonable probabilities you could put on it. Here's even like Katya Grace talking about how to put probabilities on hard things. You know, it's a great EAG talk by her. Whatever.
yeah, I do think that in something like 4 minutes, you could say like, hey, here are like the key assumptions and the key arguments and where to go to understand more about them. All right, and let me just walk you through how they might play out in the real world. And then it'd be really great if you picked a scenario that was like closer to like your median expectation than what I assume is like your fifth or 10th percentile expectation in terms of the actual like months and dates on the calendar, and maybe don't even focus on those.
I'm not going to give a take on that because I have to think a little bit more about where it ranks or something. But okay, in 4 minutes you can give an intro that like explains your thing and then pick a scenario. Oh, I see. Yeah. Cool. So okay, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a few things. One is like, there's no argument. You didn't teach people things. I want to poke at that. Where I like kind of agree with the first one and like don't agree with the second one at all. And this might I think you might find it compelling. And two, I'm hearing like that you like you can't just make a video like this and just be like, oh, but like, you know, it's just one scenario of many. Like you sort of like do put your weight behind it, or like maybe especially as a first video, or maybe just like the vibe of the video, like maybe in a world where like I'm curious if you think about this, about like have you seen this other channel, right, that like did it's called like AGI species takeover or something, has a Shoggoth as its, okay, so there's this other video which actually has more views than us, and whose creator was like extremely helpful to us and extremely kind and gave us a lot of his time, who made like an AI 2027 video like 2 months ago. And he's also made like other videos like this. For instance, he just released another one which was the Josh Clymer, like how this could all happen in 2 years story, like is telling the stories of all these stories. You can take a look at those, but I started to be curious how much you're like, it's so sort of clear from context that like he's gonna tell every story or something, and therefore I'm like much less fussed about the feeling that we're like endorsing this one story. Like if our next video was a high production description of gradual disempowerment and like what failure looks like and like a really long whatever, would that also make you feel better about this video, even if it had like as few arguments according to you, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, better for sure. Yeah. And maybe even substantially. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, cool. I think I agree. I will not make any strategic decisions about the 80K video program live on this podcast. But I think I agree with something like, it would not be hard to end up making a lot of implicit claims, like the 80K brand in general, or the 80K video program in general is the short timeline channel, and never like goes around making an argument for it. And that would be bad. I think I probably agree with something like that.
Yeah, one of the big complaints in my post, which would be cured by that, is just that I've been meaning to write about AI 2027 for a while. It's been out for like several months, and just be like, guys, like, why is this the particular thing that we have all our energy behind? Why is this the thing that people were dedicated enough and put enough time into to make like a really nice, polished, finished project? When I think like the things that we actually believe are like quite a bit more moderate. Why is it always like the most extreme and the most like pressing, urgent version of things that attracts us? Because it just seems like a failure mode of lots of groups where they're like, we're different from the world in way X. So like, let's all celebrate like the Xiest thing that we can come up with, because that makes us most distinct and feel most special. And I'm just like, man, that just in most other cases comes from a bad place.
Yeah. And we have talked internally at 80K about like, we do not have a house view that like short timelines are like definitely right or something, and like we need to like display in our messaging and our content. Like if we don't want people to take that away super reasonably, you have to like you have to say things to that effect. And maybe as you say, like talk about like the cruxes on which your assumptions depend. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, it's a really interesting anthropological point, right? That is just like how things happen, right? You have like evaporative cooling and like intensive like signaling, and like certainly this is a lot of what people experience. They say they experience when they come to the Bay. They're like, what the fuck? Everyone here is so short timelines pilled. It all feels like this like race to have the shortest timelines. What the fuck? And so interesting because I'm like, yeah, classic like outside view, if I was an anthropologist, I just would be like, that's clearly what's happening. And then I'm in it. So I'm like, wait, I can like tell you all the inside reasons that that's like a different thing is happening. And like, why do I think the Daniel thing worked? Okay, I mean, I think there's two things. It's always a bad idea to commit to how many things will be in your list before you start. But anyway, I think a big thing, genuinely, and like doing work for me and Eric, and I think comes through for people who watch the video, is his what 2026 looks like predictions being good, and Eli Liflin's track record being good. Like that those were in there not as like, by the way, like you should listen. That's not doing any work for us, but like, you know, you plebeians, like that is doing work for us. And I think that's like a big part of why Daniel gets taken seriously in general. Like if you listen to the Dwarkesh podcast, it just really sounds like Scott wouldn't have been excited to get on board with somebody who didn't have those credentials. Like, I think Scott just like takes that kind of thing seriously and like looked at what 2026 looks like and was like, whoa, bro, I want to help you. So, and then second, well, I'll say the second thing and then whatever. And then happy to get into it, is like, and this is the part that you might feel, I'm curious if you just feel icky about this in general, is like, how do you feel about storytelling, right? Like, I think this is maybe a crux. Like Scott, they like commissioned Scott to write it, or Scott wanted to get on board writing it, I don't know the story, because stories are compelling, because stories like help people. I also think they're like very epistemically helpful in the sense of just like fucking put some concrete anything on this so we can even just like, it's just like human brains reason so much better about concrete things, but they also suffer from being more specific than we could possibly justify. But people respond to stories, and certainly one of the things we were most excited about with this idea of a topic was it's a story. And so like, it's something that's like works for video, it like works to follow. And like, you know, Contagion and Dead Hand, right? All these classic stories of like, you know, the movie Contagion moving people on pandemics without like making an argument, but like making it salient, like putting it like higher on people's list of like, oh, this kind of thing could happen in some big way. And maybe you're just like, that's all epistemically like totally bankrupt because it is like a symmetric weapon, right? It works for truth as well as falsehoods. And then like, yeah, there's some Tom Cruise movie that apparently like kills people on AI. I don't know. You know, and I'm a big fan of the like Megan companion schlock horror genre of AI. I'm like a huge fan. Anyway, yeah. Okay, you had a reaction to the first thing.
So we have the people behind the report are very qualified, because one of them wrote a good blog and the other one is a good forecaster. And I mean, Daniel has other qualifications. He obviously worked at OpenAI. He's got a lot of insight these days. And then we have a very good forecaster. I think you kind of know,
and therefore, like specifically, are qualified to do things like forecasting. Right? It's like within the similar niche. Yeah.
I think you know the immediate response here, right?
I can think of a few. I think you're going to say like, did you compare it to all the other people who think other things and what their credentials are? Like Dan LeCun is also like a pretty credentialed dude.
Yeah, and like for Eli, like all forecasters, right? Like we had a whole tournament, and the super forecasters generally super skeptical, right? So what you've done is you found two qualified people out of a sea of other qualified people who happen to believe the thing that your in-group is really excited about, and said, "Oh, look at how qualified they are."
One of my best friends is a super forecaster, and runs FRI actually, which helps run FRI, which had this result. And it is. I will admit that I have noticed myself and the community at large being a little selective when we're like, well, super forecasting is like better than domain experts. And like, man, why should we listen to super forecasters? They don't understand our domain expertise at all. I have definitely noticed that a lot. And it's bad. I've noticed my own brain doing it. It's, mea culpa for sure. Confessions. I think it's actually really bad.
Cool. Thanks for that. And then the second point, storytelling. I do think I have some gut negative reaction to it. However, I wonder what you think of this, because I have always said, and I think I still maintain, that the best like relatively concrete kind of like laying out of like how a bad scenario could play out with AI is Carl Schulman on Dwarkesh's podcast, where he doesn't go, Hannah, how do you hold down your job? I think
So unclear. I think about this all the time.
My my recollection of 80K, and I'll say I listened to it like the day it came out, and I thought it was great, and I told everyone to listen to it. But Neil loved it, and like is like lots of people at 80K like listen to this like once a year, just all the way through, all 6 hours or whatever,
That's
because
incredible.
it's like
I love that. I did not know that.
So good, and I endorse it. And I listen to it once a year, and I've listened to it 3 times now. Um, uh,
Holy shit! All right. Well,
and
I should obviously listen.
and anyway, what I'll say about it is that it is not like month to month hypothetical name of hypothetical company or real name of real company does this, has this agent, da da da. But it's like one level further out, abstracted. It's like, well, AI agents could make deals, with kind of desperate companies or countries to get access to physical resources if they need to do things. North Korea. Like we'll talk about North Korea. We'll talk about Russia. It's
like the most important century also does this and is very compelling writing and does not make super specific predictions. It's more like if X, then why be crazy? And we like have these reasons to suspect X is happening. Also, what failure looks like. Also, gradual disempowerment does even less storytelling, but like you can sort of tell what the underlying story is, and it's sort of like very similar to what failure looks like. Yeah, so like plenty of people do this. I guess much of my worry is that is maybe there's a target audience thing, but there's also a medium specific thing, which is like those things are very compelling to me.
Yeah.
And maybe we should only make things that are compelling to people like me and you, but like I don't know, man. I'm feeling that the world needs to be part of this conversation.
But is that 80K's job to make the world part of the conversation, or is it their job to pick out the people who are going to do great work at the frontier of the field?
Yeah. This is a great question. And it is just very plausible that our strategy will end up being like more world waking uppy, and 80K has been like open to that being the right strategy because of the way that video works, because it like one of its like strong benefits is scale. One of its strong benefits is like reaching people when they're like who are not already like opted in to like the full content stream of the 80K newsletter and the EA forum and the this and the that. So I do, it sounds like there's many characters, but like one of them just like really, really might be where the 80K video program should be relative to like 80K in general, where 80K should be in general relative to where it's been historically, and so on and so forth. But
and here's something really interesting.
We definitely have not come to a considered house view on like what that level of theory of change should be. Like one of my meta theories of change is that with a creative project, you shouldn't nail down your theory of change too early, because you kind of just don't know. You're going to have like a lot of like disparate and diffuse routes to impact. But I think it's really plausible that I will end up thinking that like waking the world up is just like a hugely beneficial thing that like YouTube can do differently than anything else, and we should do it.
So YouTube can do it, and you can do it. You and Eric can do it, right? Yeah. And then here's just like an interesting observation about the video itself. I think there's like a little like quick like title card saying 80,000 hours presents, and then the links in the description are to 80,000 hours.
And the channel banner says like produced by 80,000 hours, and the channel description.
Okay, who's looking at that? Nobody's looking at that.
Unless a lot. Weirdly, I actually don't know how to. I'm not sure I'm not yet sure which analytics mean what thing, but I think maybe a lot of people. Anyway.
Well, maybe, yeah, but anyway, I think you see where I'm going is like you pull up that video on YouTube, it shows up on your homepage, you see it through some social media or something, you watch it. You don't think, what's this 80,000 hours thing immediately? You think like, there's this new influencer guy, Eric, who's like telling me cool stories. Why isn't AI in Context LLC just its own project waking the world up? Why is it a part of 80,000 hours?
Yeah. We've definitely been pitched on this before. A lot of people have said, holy shit, Hannah, holy shit, Eric, how did you make a video that looks this nice? And I'm like, we paid someone who knows what they're doing. What? Like, I don't know how to do that, obviously. Obviously other people do, and you can throw money at them. And I'm not saying that, one couldn't get a grant to do the whatever, but like both, you should bring Eric on as a guest sometime, and I'll let him speak for himself. But it is like very much the case for me. So when I was choosing whether to take this job, my strongest alternative was like independent AI comms. Now, I think that would not have looked anything like this. It would not have looked like comms specifically. But the thing I was pitched on was a lot more like strategic orientation. Like what is the game board? What needs to change? How do you use things that are broadly in the valley of comms, but like whatever, to like change the game board, right? Like which like decision makers need legislative staffers in their offices who actually understand this stuff, which journalists need better relationships with experts so that they can like call on people who make the right argument, blah 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 blah. I mean, like could have been a million things. And among the many reasons I chose 80K is I thought I would just do a better job of many things at my job with like support, structure, infrastructure, and resources. And I think 80K is just like obviously providing those to me and Eric. And I just think that's great. I think it's very hard to go out and do things on your own. Maybe, I mean, like, look, Eric's a fucking rock star. I mean, I don't know if you ended up putting this in your post, but in your outline was like very, very complimentary to me and Eric. Nicely obscuring which of us is the 1 and 2 choice you would have made for this. Maybe he should go just be a fucking rock star elsewhere. Maybe I should executive produce him. I think those are like, it's like a fair question, but I'm just like, feels like a fabricated opinion relative to like, is it way easier to like do anything cool in the world with like a manager and help and ideas and like a huge body of content that people like know deeply that has been made over the last 15 years that they can like help support, and like people who know about content and like and who keep you like epistemically accountable, like it gets, you know, the script gets run by like other people at 80K. I'm just like, yeah, man.
All great art is written by committee, of course. Okay, so first of all, small clarification for listeners: Hannah is number 1, Eric is number 2.
Don't need or want that.
And then it's interesting that every way that you framed this was like, look at how much AI in Context LLC benefits from the resources that 80K gives it, right? What about t'other way around, right? Like, what is AI in Context doing to people's perceptions of 80K, which is like my primary complaint? I think people...
Yeah, no. Yeah. If we're an anchor on the thing, they should totally let us go. Oh, I guess. I feel like my job is to worry about whether AI in Context is helped by 80K, and it's their job to worry about the other thing.
You are the danger.
Oh, I'm the danger. I didn't have that thing at all. That's funny.
Because I mean, look. My whole.
Your story is too compelling. Your host too charming. They'll kill you, Hannah. They'll kill you.
I mean, look, my whole curmudgeonliness and my whole complaint is just that, like, I really liked 2015. It was a great year, and I just want to live there forever. Yeah. And 2015.
You're undermining your argument. You have a better argument than this. You should make it.
It's true. I enjoyed 2017 a bit more, but there are reasons in the world.
Don't self-undermine. Stand behind your thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what people... Sorry, well, let me make the point. I like the point.
Classic.
You're like, I know what you're saying. I'll address it.
By me. I'm shutting
up. Right, it's like when people look at 80K, especially old school 80K, they're like, these guys are independent. They're like super smart. They're super critical. They give you like the full distribution of possibilities. They unpack all the cruxes. And then these are all just resources and tools for you, the user, to make up your own mind. And they have opinions, and they tell you their opinions. They have these problem rankings and whatever, but they do a decent job kind of trying to bifurcate that. More than that.
They say, this is the world's most pressing problem. Let me tell you why we think so.
Whoa, that's really fascinatingly different.
Most pressing problems. Why could this be very tractable? Why could this be very important?
Well, that's really fascinating. This is a huge disagreement that we have.
Okay.
The way that
2015, 80K much better than I do. I think I joined the newsletter in 2016 because of the quiz, which I really liked and I've always wanted to bring back. I got kicked off the newsletter because I didn't open one for 2 years. And I didn't know that meant you got kicked off the newsletter that I consentingly signed up for. So I would probably defer to you. But anyway.
What great privacy policy. Anyway,
What if you don't want to bother people?
my credentials are similar. I should say, so I actually don't have authority here. But I listen to a lot of the podcasts on 1x speed. That's what I'll say. Like basically all of it.
I
Uh,
think I think the podcast is importantly different than the website. And I think the podcast gets to be a little bit more what Rob thinks and what Rob finds interesting. And like, I actually think the podcast is a great frame for, it has been a huge inspiration for the video program, which is it is less about like optimizing for like, will people make career changes? Will people do this? It's like, make a great product, have great
yeah.
conversations. And like, we
Yeah.
want to make great videos. And
Yeah.
we're going to like think about the video change after. This has actually been a huge inspiration for us, precisely in the way that the podcast differs from web.
This is fair. And anyway, my impression really isn't about the podcast. Maybe I'm like retrocasting what I learned about the website when I worked at 80K or something like that. But what I'll say is this: my read of the guide is like, user, you have a life. You have one career to make a decision. This is your biggest decision, and the thing you should do is figure out what the most important problem is. And
100%.
here's like a framework and a structure for how to think about the most important problem. We'll throw some examples in there. We'll talk about Dr. Nolan. We'll talk about Stanislav Petrov. We'll give you these examples of people who we think have had a lot of impact, and build this whole framework for you. And then at the end, read the guide, especially the old version of the guide. It basically gives no 80K opinions. There's like you search for AI in there, and it comes up like twice, and it's like not even an example.
Shouldn't you think that's bad?
Well, here it's
people's like complaints about like the CA handbook and the whatever is like some combination of, well, it's always like you're putting too much AI in there, or you're like not admitting, you're like insufficiently admitting how much your views are AI.
No, this is totally the tension. This is the central tension, and it's like, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate having a framework that gets you to a place, and then the place that you endorse getting to?
But importantly, I think I want to say, and I don't know, it's not like a super strongly held opinion, but my sense is like the guide is the most in that direction 80K product by far, and on purpose. It is not the median 80K product. There is an axis, and the axis is appropriate. And the guide is specifically trying to be like, hey, we want to offer you a value proposition. In order to do that, we should probably not like assume what you want. Like we should be like good stewards of your time and like speak to you. And so like the guide is like all the way like within the 80K space in that direction. I don't think it's fair to say that's the true 80K, and everything else is like a boulderized, decrepit, degenerate version of it. I don't think that's ever been true.
I don't think that's my claim either. I have pointed out the tension that you want to do both, and there's a worry that one will swallow the other.
Yeah.
And because again, I'm coping, and this is the coping episode, right? I liked the world as it existed in 2015. I thought like that was the right balance, and now opinionated 80K is swallowing framework first 80K almost whole, and that's not cool.
Well, I'm so confused by this still, because I'm like, we had a strategic shift. Like this are like are you predicating are you predicating on like you're doing the strategic shift bad and wrong, or you're like the strategic shift was bad and wrong? Like I know you think that. The strategic
shift was bad and wrong.
I know. Sorry, but like conditional that. Or maybe you're just like, here's what
we've transitioned. I'm no longer complaining about your video.
Example of why the strategic shift was bad and wrong is maybe what you're saying here.
Yes, no, that's exactly right.
You are trying to relitigate this. Okay, fine. You're not saying like buy your own lights. I mean, you might also be saying that, but that's not your core point.
Oh yeah, I mean, up towards the top, I said you might be wrong in your own terms, and that was also an objection to the strategic shift. It was not like, the strategic shift is going to be mad about the video. It's a strategic shift is going to be a failure in terms of actually getting new amazing talent on board, new plan changes.
I agree. There was something you said earlier that I wanted to like maybe agree with or something.
About the spectrum of the guide and this being the central tension, and whether you're striking
that. Well, I was thinking about like we're currently thinking about what our second video should be, right? So this is actually a great time to have this conversation. It does escape me, but a similar thing is like, I don't know if this will help take us in a helpful direction, but you made a claim early on, which is like you didn't teach people anything, and I'm like, no, I actually think we taught people a lot, and I'm like really happy about it. And I think it happened, at least from my perspective, mostly by accident. I think like Eric kind of like made this happen live, which is the sidebars. Some of the sidebars were in this original script. Some of them were not, I think none of them were in the like original script, and then we read the script many times, and then like some of the sidebars were there. And then I think he just like he definitely just like added some like because they had extra time and stuff. And I actually think, and I like certainly wish I was like yes, this was always the plan, because I think it's great. But I actually think it's like a pretty solid description of like what's going on, like what do we mean by misalignment, and like why are we worried about it. It's not like the world's best. It wasn't trying to be, but it's like the sidebars do a solid job of like why are we worried about recursion, why are we worried about misalignment, what is misalignment, the like Ryan Green mapping, like AIs are grown not built. And I actually think embedding those in a story such that it's still compelling, it's still cinematic, and then people come away with like, oh, this misalignment thing seems bad, and it's like motivated, right? This is like a classic pedagogical technique. It's like if you're just like, I want to teach you, you should listen to me. Like that's a much harder pitch because there's no value prop for the viewer. Or like, sorry, you can like obviously figure out the value prop for the viewer, but it's harder. Whereas if you're like, there's a story, and in order to follow the story, you like need this. Like, hence, every fantasy nerd is like, I will memorize the 16 allomantic metals of the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere, in order to like understand the plots of Elantris and Mistborn. Like in order to like it was genuinely motivated. We weren't shoehorning it in, and I think it shows. We were like, fuck, this story doesn't make sense if you don't know why misalignment is worrying and like how it could come to be. So we're gonna like explain that. And I actually think like people might come away with like a pretty solid understanding of those things.
Yeah, those were the strongest parts of the video. And also, like, it's possible that because I have been aware of those things and thinking about them for so long, I really gloss over how useful that is for a new listener.
I was going to say,
and I want
that's just my worry, that you're not like, you're like, sidebar, okay, finally you got to the argument part or whatever. But like, actually, I think this is like kind of a big deal for a lot of people. Is my hope and guess. I don't have like evidence about this. There was one piece of feedback on LinkedIn to this effect, and I was like, and like so many people were like, this is such an accessible explanation, and like maybe they just meant the whole video, but like again, because most of the video is not an explanation, it's like a story, I take that to mean that they mean the explanations part, the ones that are like clearly sort of signposted as explanations. But maybe I'm just like, that's cope on my end, and like they mean you explained why it's definitely the case that like the world will end by 2027. I'm like, I explained what? That was not yeah. Yeah. But no, I appreciate it, and I like care a lot about the epistemics of. But I'm like more confused, I think, than you are about like the like what should be the routes to impact and like who are we, what our target audience is. But I just like do take the epistemics thing quite seriously and want it to live in productive conversation with the value, according to me, of storytelling and cinematicity, and the like. There is something interesting about YouTube, right? Because precisely you're like reaching people not just at work when they are thinking, but like late at night in bed when they are like their brains are half turned off. And that's like both part of like the impact case is like we can like chat with people who are like at like many different time slices of their lives, right? It's like one thing to like chat with people only in the like 8 hours a day that they're like actively like, I will be virtuous and seek out like how to do most good, but like all these other time slices of people where we're like, hey, I think we have something to tell you too, and we can make it like emotional and real. And like some of the feedback we got was like from people who already buy this stuff and are like, this felt real to me. And I think that's like so powerful and can be a totally symmetric weapon. So I don't know, there's like, there's some like dark arts to be worried about here, and I buy that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old like millennial in me, just being like, oh, this sounds kind of conspiratorial with the shadows and the ominous music and the guy staring at you, telling you you're gonna be in the dark. The whole public won't know what's really going on.
Yeah.
When Agent 4 trains Agent 5.
Yeah. I mean, like one high level like argument we could have, or we could have it in the specifics of this video, is like, I think like an ongoing like rationalist EA debate and like just like debate in general has been like, how epistemically responsible are you for your vibe? Right? If I say all the right things, like made the right claims, I did the whatever, but like my vibe is like, don't fucking disagree with me. Don't you dare. I'm in charge. I'm special. I'm smart. I'm citing all these people. You should never disagree with Will McCaskill. Even if I say all the right things, right? This came up at Atlas constantly. We're constantly like, fuck. It's like, we say the things over and over, and we like are not sure we are like nailing the vibe. And it's like hard to nail the vibe you want, especially if you're trying to optimize for multiple things at once, which is like, in fact, to convey that you find this stuff extremely plausible and are scared that the world is going to end. and also not like use fear as the primary motivator for people to have beliefs other than the ones they have. This stuff is hard, and like I hear you as saying like, great, and the way to do that is to like take emotion almost entirely out of it or something. Maybe that's too strong, but I'm like, and maybe you're like, yeah, the second you let emotion in, it's very Sith, right? You're like gonna murder Gandhi your way to like the lowest of the low. And like I hear Rohan Shah is often having these like concerns as well. Like when he worries about like public facing activism, he's often like, I don't really have an opinion about whether this particular activism is good or bad. I just have an opinion about like the selection effects on public facing activism, which is either they are successful or they are epistemically reasonable. So like,
yeah,
it's like I don't even need to have an opinion about like the specific thing, you know, whatever group is doing. It's just like what I see in general. And I think I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of feelings here. One of them is like the feelings are part of it and are real. Like when I talk to my family, I don't want to like scare them into agreeing with me, but I think if I don't say like this isn't an intellectual exercise for me, I'm scared about this, like I think they will like just like fail to understand me and my perspective. They will miss something. I will like have failed to convey something important. And obviously it's my family, it's different, but like I think that's part of it.
I mean,
go ahead.
A core thing for me is that I don't feel the AGI. This is still an intellectual exercise.
Very interesting. Oh, so it must feel just so like disgustingly, like drippingly, like over the top. Hammy, what the fuck? Oh yeah. You might not be like tracking or clocking like how earnest this is.
I mean, I sort of like know.
Work. Yeah. But like, you know, system one.
I sort of know that people like claim to be earnest, but I just think they're kind of crazy.
I know that people claim to be earnest.
Yeah. But yeah, and so the exact thing that I was going to propose for the video is just like, fine, talk about AI 2027, but just hold it at arm's length a bit more and be like, these guys over here are really scared and they say this stuff. But like Eric seems scared. Eric's like, I'm talking to my family and my congressman. And you know Eric why? That's probably because Eric is scared.
Eric is scared.
Like, shouldn't be scared. I mean, I in theory, the people watching the video are not.
Such an easy mistake, actually, for like, and maybe a mistake the rationalist community did make for many years, which was to like make arguments and make arguments and make arguments and make arguments and talk on the forum and talk on the forum and talk on the forum and talk on what's wrong, and then no one be like, wait, for real? Is it a mistake they made? I don't know. Eliezer's writing is pretty intense.
Yeah.
I'll tell an embarrassing story about me. Like, I think less than a year into dating Howie.
You're not supposed to say his name.
Some background context on this is that I did some like contracting work for Miri in like 2015 or 2016 or something. I like helped edit some blog post. Howie and I are hanging out. We're talking about our P-dooms, as you do, in a healthy romantic relationship. And he gave me his. I won't say, you know, he gets that's something private between a man and his audience.
His fiance to be.
Fiance, we're engaged.
I said, well, at the time, fiance.
Oh yes, that's right. Exactly. He said his number, and I was like, "Whoa, that's so high." And he's like, "Don't you have an intelligence.org email address?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." I also believe that. I guess.
Did you say this is literally 2015?
That's so embarrassing. I'm like still embarrassed thinking about this story. Like because I like wasn't in a community, like I wasn't like in community with people. I like didn't live in the Bay or whatever. It, like my beliefs had like not propagated to my system one in like, despite having like talked and thought about it for like more than half a decade at that point, or at least at that point, like a decade almost. Like this is so embarrassing to me. Like I could not have given you an accurate P-doom of my own at all. It would have just been like completely like detangled from what the things I actually think. Anyway, it's just like this is a notable story in my epistemic upbringing.
Yeah, I guess I just need to spend more time in the Bay.
Or never, or like don't touch this like weird, you've read Unsong, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yeah, don't
amazing.
don't, don't come where the like waters are spiked with LSD and P Doom. Like, don't do it.
Well, it's really interesting, right? Because like I see the role of 80K is to be like the first thing that touches on any of this that someone sees, and presumably, like those people in that position haven't been around in the Bay feeling the AGI and the P Doom at all, and so you want to make a product that speaks to them. And it sounds like a lot of the praise that you got, and obviously 2 million people viewed it, many people subscribed. Someone likes this, but I think, like you said right at the top, like maybe if I actually found out who these people were, I wouldn't be that thrilled about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm a
That's
little
not
worried
what
about
I
that.
said.
Sorry, subscribers, we love you. We love you. We appreciate you. Big heart to all the subs.
But well. I want to distinguish. I think this like clearly did hit an important vein for people. And like I think actually probably caused a lot of people who had not previously felt the AGI to feel the AGI. So I think it's less that you're like, hey, you have to speak to people who don't feel the AGI by speaking to them in a way that doesn't feel the AGI. I think you're like, I'm worried about you making them feel the AGI before you argue the AGI. I think that's the argument you should be making, and I think is the argument.
Yeah, and they're going to have poorer models, and like maybe you can improve those models that are motivated. But
I mean, some of them will bounce off because we're too AGI pilled, but like seems like a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, and I do think like I made this exact claim. I was like, oh, all the smart people are going to bounce off, and all the lemmings will dive in.
This, if true, is like huge cracks for me.
But very unlikely to be true, right? I think
it just got better reviews from our people than I like. This is the kind of thing I expected like everyone at Constellation to say if it was true. Is like, what the fuck are you doing with our like epistemic brand or something?
Well, I mean, if you don't complain about AI 2027 itself, you can't complain about the dramatization, I think. So this has already been litigated like a few months ago.
I mean, we dramatized it even more.
The shadows and the music, it's true, those weren't included in the paper report.
With a face. And like who like speaks to you earnestly, like right here. Hello, you and me. You and me here in this room. It's a very intense experience. Eric looks at you and you feel the earnestness.
Oh dear, Eric, so charming, that bastard.
And people, it really does feel. Sorry, I hope Eric's fine with us hyping up like this, but like, does seem like some kind of super stimulus. Like some of the comments are just like they're clearly just like, oh my god, this presenter, I can't even.
Is Eric thirst trapping all the people on YouTube? Is that what's happening?
There's only one comment that's like, bro, drop your bicep routine.
Nice.
When I had dinner with the other day was like, I saw that comment. I saw that Eric hasn't responded. We're all waiting.
Sweet.
Extremely funny.
You love to see it. All right.
I appreciate this. We are in the process of picking our next one, and I appreciate this.
May I suggest a primer on game theory and coordination problems?
Oh my god. Actually, Eric would love that. Eric loves the let's zoom out, let's talk about this. The whole thing is coordination problems. Like, why can't we all work together on this? And I'm like, it's like 6 layers zoomed out from what I want to talk about.
You come in, it's like, hey listeners, thanks for your engagement. Thanks for loving the last video. Thanks for subscribing. We are going to bring the brow.
What a Freudian slip.
What did I say?
Subtribing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Holy shit. But anyway, we're going to,
thanks. The tribe of, everyone needs a name. Like Gaga has her little monsters, whatever. Like we're the good people, maybe? I mean, and not to say, just right and smart and better than everyone else people.
But here in our second video, we are going to take the brow up a notch. Talk about game theory.
I think you're not going to be like my first consultant on how to make a good YouTube hook. But you can be on.
Hannah, we have 40 subscribers. We are crushing it, you and me here. What's a couple of orders of magnitude between friends, right?
It does tell an interesting story.
All
That's
right.
my
Are
mostly
you?
being production values.
Well, if only we had your budget.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if this was a production of 80,000 hours?
Oh God. Well, I've kind of burned my bridges with them with a recent blog post. So.
I don't smell smoke.
Oh, that's very nice. I won't put it on the forum. That will keep the temperature down. Um, it doesn't deserve to be on the forum anyway. It's garbage. You'll read it and tell me that later, if you're honest. Hannah, are you going to the gym?
No, I'm going to brunch.
Ugh, that's the opposite of the gym.
It really is. It is the most opposite of the gym. There's going to be like more bagels there than like people. And maybe that's always what happens at brunch. I meant that to be kind of like a clever statement. Anyway, there's a lot of carbs, there's a lot of sitting around, but it's going to be great.
I love to hear it. Well, anyway, I
going to the gym? You can do your second ever deadlift?
My second ever deadlift. I have nothing left to prove in that department, Hannah.
Well, what about your bench? I can bench 80 pounds.
As you say, what's a couple orders of magnitude between friends? I will do some benching today, and I will let you know where I'm at because I haven't actually done a proper bench in a long time. I used to be able to do the classic manly 225. That was fun times. But that was 2019, which was also better times.
Better years. Back when AGI wasn't coming.
Women liked me. We can cut that. All right, so next week I'll have a guest.
I'm going to take back to our regularly scheduled programming.
And we'll make you happy again. We'll have that lovely surprise, and we'll talk about maybe more about coping. There was so many coping things that didn't have to do with your video that we could have touched on. Right. But it's a whole week, so maybe I'll think of something even better.
Lots of things will happen. Bye, Matt. Have a good day.
All right, Hannah. Take care. You too.